my name is James T. George, and I am the creator of the Paladin Project. Many of you have seen the allegations made against me by Golden and others within her circle. I will be addressing those statements today with proof that those claims were falsely made against me with clear cause for malicious intent to defame me. I want to start by saying that I support victims, and I support protecting victims and believing victims and making sure that they are safe in times of crisis. I also support doing a thorough investigation to ensure all parties are represented fairly. With the way that this was handled, I know that I'm coming at it from an extreme deficit of trust and credibility in the public eye, and I get that. I can only present the full picture against the poorly drawn sketch that Golden designed to let people paint the worst possible scenario in their minds and then just take that and run with it. And obviously many have. This is going to be a lot, but I want to address as much as possible here. And if there's anywhere that I need to elaborate more, I'm not afraid to show anything that her and her group withheld because it didn't fit their narrative. So we can fully see how we managed to get all the way to a false rape accusation with lots of fans and all these different creators all jumping in to announce their support without seeing the truth of the full picture. We'll be taking a look at a timeline, which will be helpful in understanding the order of events and the progression of her malicious view towards me. I think it's going to be important to first establish exactly what our relationship was and put that in perspective with this timeline. So here we'll see in her own words what her intentions were with the relationship. Keep in mind that this was filmed on July 1st. So keep that in mind. That comes up later.
I didn't even have a character. I wasn't trying to blend.
And so that meant
This is one of our earliest messages. You can see May 16th. She just says, "Hey, I had an amazing time last night. Thank you so incredibly much for inviting me. Can we do something again soon?" This was after a campfire night that we had with a group of creators. She then goes on to say, and not to be horny on Maine or anything like that, but my guts are yours if you want them, winky face. Let me know if you need company. A few days later, Friday, May 19th, made it home safe, gonna pass out for an hour or two, but just wanted to thank you for the thorough gut rearranging. If there's ever a time you feel like it, let me know. No strings attached, of course, just for fun. Things continued like that. Of course, as we worked together more, we got more comfortable with each other, and here she is saying that something that somebody commented made her uncomfortable, and me saying thank you for telling me and setting that boundary. So this was sometime in June, which obviously this tells us that we did have the kind of relationship where we could talk about these kinds of things and share them with each other if we ever felt uncomfortable. This video is on June 14th, and it just shows us vibing, hanging out in the van. If you look closely, you can see that this is a Barefoot Moscato bottle. She was preferential to Moscato, but we had many conversations, some of which other group members were privy to and could confirm if they wanted, but we had conversations about her wanting to try different alcohols. She just didn't know anything about them. So while, yes, there was one of these occasions that we tried tequila, it wasn't in this like predatory way that she was putting it. It was literally as like two friends, like, oh my gosh, it'll be exciting to share this together and be able to do this. I even was like, let me record your reaction because that'll be funny. And she was like, well, no, I don't want that video going anywhere or anything like that. I'm like, okay, we'll just record it on your phone. So if she still has that video, she would be able to share that if she felt like it. It would also include in the metadata when that was recorded, and we would get the very specific date that that was if she wanted to come out with that as well. But technically that video shows us having a good time. And again, that doesn't fit her narrative. As far as her saying that I was super pushy or anything like that, at first, yes, I was like, okay, well, you haven't had enough to feel it. But then she kept like to make a point, and anybody that knows her and how she has like bratting tendencies, she would like grab it out of my hand and then start drinking. I'm like, okay, well, now you have to slow down. We got to make sure that like you're going to feel it right. I don't want you to feel sick. I don't want you to have a bad experience. We're just going to pace ourselves. So again, complete fabrication doesn't fit the narrative that she needed to build to get to the worst possible scenario. This video was June 24th, and again, just shows us vibing in what she refers to as the seclusion of my van. But obviously she needed to paint this in the worst possible light, so things like this are important context. This video was one of the only things that she removed herself from right before she made her accusation post. This video was posted on July 5th, so right in that time frame where she's saying that something occurred. But I think because it shows us having a good time in the van, I think she felt like that was incriminating evidence against her or something like that. Fortunately, the day that she made this post, I was up bright and early for flights that I was supposed to be on, and I caught wind of it. I was like, that's interesting. And then I noticed that several other people were doing it, and that's when I kind of realized, okay, this is weird. Something's going on. But it definitely seems like she was trying to cover her tracks to some degree because of the attitude of that video and the time frame that she's claiming.
No,
Are you guys dating?
Yes.
And again, this is the Q&A video that we recorded on July 1st. So now we're going to be taking a look at this timeline. And as she says, one night in July after a long day of filming and up in the canyon, that narrows it down to between July 1st and the absolute last possible day that could be is July 12th, because I left Utah on July 13th. So we're going to be looking at all the different messages in this time frame to see if there's any indication that she at all feels like her consent was breached in any way, or that she was uncomfortable, or that she felt like there was boundaries crossed at all. I'm not going to read this out loud, but you get the idea. That kind of conversation goes on for a little while. You get the idea. And she says, if you want company tonight, Walmart, that was the way that we referred to Walmart, where I would stay in the van multiple times, is a teeny more manageable than the canyon. So obviously this night we stayed at Walmart. Obviously, after that night, the next day, she just says on July 3rd, I just watched all of it and oh my God, it's perfect. That thumbnail is perfect. Do you have a copy of that picture without text? I effing love it. And it was just us laughing and smiling and having a good time. So we see later on that night on the 3rd, she says, yeah, let me know if you get lonely tonight. And so then obviously we met up again, July 4th at midnight. She just got off stream. She grabbed food. Then we met up. Obviously, at this point, still no indication of any kind of breach of consent. And she says, I had too strong of a physical reaction to that for me being on a video call. At the moment, she was hanging out with a group on Discord. Obviously, we flirt a little bit. And she says, you like having little bits of power, don't you? I say, I do, only that which you allow me to take. An obvious consent check. And she says, I keep wanting to give you more and more. And I say, do you? Can't get enough. And she says, you're pretty enthralling. On July 8th, we had a ragtag crew group shoot. And these messages are in reference to the rest of the group leaving. So she would leave, and then when all of them left, she would come back. And obviously that's what we're discussing right now. She's saying, is that they're all gone? And I say yes. So she would come back after everybody else drove off, which obviously is a lot different context than the way that she presented that secluded location, but I digress. So obviously the next day, July 9th, she says, I really enjoyed last night. Thank you, with a heart. Doesn't seem like something happened then. And the only reason I'm showing all of this is that I have no idea what night she's referring to. That conversation goes on and she asks me how I'm feeling. I say I'm sore and achy, but worth. And she asks, sore and achy, wonder what that feels like. obviously joking about the night we had prior. And I said, yeah, I can't relate, huh? And she says, not like I've been struggling to sit up or anything. And I say, oh, worth. And she says, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Kind of sad you're all the way up there. So I was in the canyon then, the morning of July 11th. She says, sorry, I just got off a hella long stream and taking off my makeup, and I'll grab food and be up. So obviously not this time because there was no film day. She grabbed food, and that doesn't corroborate with her story. And she says, to be fair, the comfort we have with one another is super visible. People always want to stick a label on things. So the next day, July 12th, is when Sky McSparkle dropped her attempted cancel video. The essence of her video was essentially talking about some of the qualms that she and others from my D&D campaign community had with me. She doesn't claim any SA, but she claims that I am manipulative and lead people on, and I'm a gaslighting narcissist, and all the popular buzzwords. I said, I believe I told you it was only a matter of time before an attempt was made, my old player, because I've told many different people about the nature of that D&D campaign ending and also who she is as a person. In response, she says, thanks for letting me know. I'm sure that's stressful, but I've never felt unsafe or used by you. I say, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I knew it would always be reserved for a time when I'm seeing more success because they've always hated to see me succeed or happy. And she says, how are you doing? Do you have people confronting you? And I talk about that. She goes on to say, pay it no mind, babes. You have too much to worry about her less than 1,000 followers. And Sky says, heads up, heard they're going to be at Gen Con, so be careful. He's also the reason I'm not going this year. And we were both like super confused because she knew that I hadn't even made it public that I was going to be going, and only not even a week earlier decided with just a few friends that I might be going. That's what she's like, literally like, what the hell? She must be desperate for attention right now. And I say, no, for real. Someone else pointed out how she's plugging her new campaign streams in the comments, and the timing is so perfect for when I'm seeing more rapid success and she has campaigns to promote. And having worked somewhat closely with her on our marketing side of things for the campaign, on brand for her. We were both a part of the same Discord community, and this is going to come up later and be super important, but I say I kind of want to give Cosberries, that was the name of the Discord community, I said I wanted to give them a heads up because when it first went down, I had conversations with several of them in there about how I suspected this would eventually happen because of how she is as a person. And then she says, yeah, it might be a good thing to get ahead of it and speak to the owner of the Discord and see what the best way to go about it is. When I talk about giving the Cosberries a heads up, this is a Discord community that both Golden and I were a part of. So I give the owner of the Cosberries Discord server a message, and he says, dear God, that woman seems like she's just begging for attention with the shit she just spewed from her mouth. You are welcome to address it in the server if you'd like. I'll be honest, I haven't had anyone complain about your behavior. Your flirty personality has never come off as harmful or manipulative to me personally, and no one in the server has told me they have had a problem with you. If they did, I would have come to you immediately. How can I help? I mentioned how as a group, we literally had conversations in the earliest days of the campaign about watching out for Sky's snake-like behavior. And I said I also called it the first time when I said she would be the one to make a nice little cancel video in her little way. And again, I tell him she just waited till I saw more success and she had campaigns to promote. Someone else said it too. Oh, it's obvious an attempt to get people to fill in the gaps with the worst possible ideas. That way she didn't say it outright. It's not her fault if people drew extreme conclusions. And I just said, I just hope I have people ready to give anecdote about me. I also just hope more people's bullshit detectors are keen. It's so easy to jump on a bandwagon. The owner of the Cosberries Discord responds and says, I have a Discord server full of people who love and adore you. We love having you in the Discord and we want you here. And I won't be listening to any rumors coming from people who I don't know. That being said, you have never wronged me or his girlfriend, or anyone that I know of in the server. If there are any questions in the Discord, I will inform them that it's just rumors and that they need to block those people who are spreading them or contact you. People will see that one day these rumors are just rumors and they'll see the error of their ways. I'm really sorry, man. But women, men, and non-binary friends who you have been flirty with in this server have never felt attacked or hurt by you. I know you are just a fun, goofy dude who has never shown anyone harm. If you did cross any line, you would stop the bit and pull back and apologize because you're an adult and acknowledge when you're wrong. That's how I know you're a good guy. You know the difference between playful and predatorial. I doubt anyone here will speak up against you. I have never heard any complaints, and I'm on like 24/7 in this server. You're making awesome content and you are soaring because of it. And sadly, some people just want to ruin the fun. And then the next paragraph says, if it's any consolation, Golden has sung your praises and really appreciates your friendship and everything you have done to help push her content. You're an awesome dude, and I know you are helping people. I can't imagine people are joining you and the Paladin Project just so you can be the next critical role. Not saying you won't, but I doubt that was your plan when you started this project. But you were doing great, dude. Keep it up. F the haters. We got your back. This girl that we're talking about here, Sky McSparkle, who makes her cancel video and we're talking about in all this, we're going to fast forward to present time, and Golden has made her accusation. This is how Sky McSparkle responded. And again, remember all the things I was saying about like on brand for her. This is the very beginning of her intro to what she was going to talk about in response to Golden.
Hi. So instead of making a TikTok about I'm DMing my first mini series today, which I'm going to shamelessly say that right now before we talk about something serious, I want to thank Golden.
Who does that? Now, I could do a whole other breakdown about her and that whole group, but I think by the end of this, it'll be pretty obvious what's going on there. So anyways, we're going to jump back in time to Golden's initial response to Sky McSparkle's video and the rest of that night, and then we'll take a step back, look at the timeline again. I go on to ask, if I stayed at Walmart and left in the morning, would you hang out tonight? No pressure. Also, probably no sex because the situation makes me feel icky, but snugs. And I was saying I just want to know before I decide to just knock a bit of it out this evening. I was referring to the drive that I was about to take to Colorado. Again, I left on the 13th. So again, we have between July 1st and July 12th and all of those messages, and then this coming to light right before I leave Utah. And then you see all of her messages and how she feels about things. And I travel to Colorado. And as Golden claims, this is where she first found out about my long-term partner. Sarah and I were not considering ourselves long-term partners at this time. As Golden and I agreed, we were not exclusive in any way. We were both talking to other people at this time, one of which I have known for a long time. And even as you saw prior, there was no discussion of any kind of like exclusivity or anything like that. And Sarah and I were not partners at this time. She brings up the Colorado dinner, which was July 21st. And she asks for a ride, and I say, if we can, we'll do that. But I'm going to be having a little birthday date with Sarah, and then we'll be going to the dinner. Obviously, with the dynamic that we had going, I didn't think that it mattered, but we did have several different conversations where I mentioned that I did have somebody in my life that I've known for a while, and that we had a really good dynamic. So I think in this situation, this was just the first time that it became a reality, and she saw me with somebody else for the first time. Just a few days later, she sends me a big message. So this is July 24th, and she says, also, I'm about to lay down for a nap, so if I don't respond, that's why. I'm a lot better typing things out than with the spoken word, so here goes. I really effing like you. I'm so thankful we met. The two of us together just kind of makes sense in whatever capacity it may be. I love your smile and your eyes and all of your body language, your jokes, even the ones I've heard a million times. And your laugh are incredible. You're magnetic and friendly. On top of being incredibly talented, you're not all up in your own ego. You're amazing. I know I'm going to see you in only like 2 weeks, but I can't wait for it. I like being around you. When it's just the two of us, I feel incredibly seen, and you always make me feel safe. I appreciate you. Keep in mind, this is July 24th. This is in Colorado, well past the time that we were anywhere near the canyon or anything like that. Then moving from there, we get to Gen Con. And kind of like she said, there was definitely some bad air between us. For me, it kind of started to develop in Colorado just by the way that she treated not only me, but other people at this time. It kind of started to plant a seed in my brain that she wasn't necessarily as mature as I thought. And then some of that carried over into Gen Con when some of the same issues that I thought we had discussed come up again about how she treated me in regards to a group setting. And I had drawn that boundary several different times. Even within the ragtag crew, I had to address it back in Utah, and then also in Colorado, and then again in Gen Con. So there was definitely a shift that started to happen after this Gen Con. The Gen Con Creator House there was interesting. There's stuff that could be broken down there if we need to. But like she said, the shift kind of started to happen then. And then Maisie and I started to do all of our different collabs and all of that stuff. So I was really busy with that and some traveling that was happening there. For the most part, after Gen Con, I did just go home. So I was back home, and then I traveled out a few different times to do some different collabs. There was already kind of like this weird tension too, even with these collabs that were happening, where she was, even when we did message, it was just very like short and cold. And I picked up on that. I've realized that there was a little bit of jealousy that seemed to be going on about like us not making content together anymore. And then fast forward to early November. It's actually when Sarah and I went to Utah for a film festival. It was kind of the first time that somebody asked like, hey, what are you? And it was actually kind of funny because we just joked and we're like, what are we? And then we're like, we're partners. We're partners. And so that was the first time that we established that. So this was November, not here in July, where she says my long-term partner. During that time in Utah with Sarah, I sent out a message to the whole ragtag crew, Golden included. I said, hey, I would love to see you guys. In response to that, she sent a really generic message on November 1st saying, hey, welcome back to Utah. I'm tied up with work this week and don't have a car presently, so I won't be able to make it to your show, but good luck. I'm sure you'll do great. And then wished me a happy birthday. On New Year's, I sent out a handful of messages to people that I felt like had quite an impact in my life throughout that year. And so I sent one to her because I knew we had some kind of like icky air between us, but I did not realize at this time to what extent it was. And I just said, I'm really thankful for getting the chance to know you and work with you and see you grow and own your life and become the awesome person you are. I'm really proud of you and also deeply cherish our times together and look forward to seeing you again in this year to come. Because as far as I knew, we were still planning on collaborating together. And I just said, choose an inspiration and a joy. And I wished her well and all that. And she left me on red for a little while, January 1st, January 4th. I thought it was a little bit weird, and I knew that there was like some kind of tension, but I had no idea to what degree. And then somebody told me that she was saying all these things that I was unaware of. So I wanted to address it. I sent this message saying it's come back around to me a few times that you have claimed that I have said that I'm the only reason you're successful. And I said, I don't know where that's coming from, but you of all people should know that's not at all the truth or how I've ever treated you. I've always encouraged you and insisted that you would have gotten there on your own in just a matter of time because you're good at what you do. And I only helped boost or guide you along to start. Literally, one of our last interactions was me holding you while you were upset, worried that your content wouldn't do as well when I left. And I encouraged and assured you then, as I always have, because I believed in you. This is really odd to have something that I walked with someone through come back as if I was the one projecting that insecurity. It also hurts to find out that someone that I thought of and talked about so highly has been doing the opposite in rooms that I'm not in. I get it if you want to just detach completely and enjoy your own success, but you don't need to write me out of your history and drag my name to do that.
Well, and it's nice to like be able to talk to people who have done it before or are like doing it presently. Because like if I hadn't met you, first of all, this probably wouldn't have happened. But I wouldn't have met a bunch of people that I've met through you that know how this is all going.
She finally replies and says, I understand that at the house at Gen Con, you seem to encourage me and support the work that I put into my content and building myself as a creator. I was very grateful for that. However, in multiple public Discord voice and video calls with other people after we returned home after the convention, you did make comments claiming responsibility for a lot of my success. Now, regardless of if those were meant to be jokes or not, they were made in calls with many of our peers, which was frankly very embarrassing for myself. I was especially confused in the nature of those comments, considering that I thought we had been on such good terms while in Indianapolis, Gen Con. However, it was not until weeks after that you expressed your frustration with my lack of romantic attention towards you at the house and your desire to reevaluate relationship, which makes the previous jokes seem more malicious. I've decided not to cause drama and have taken a step back from you as to not cross that boundary that you established with me. But you have made these hurtful comments as well as others, such as doxing my government name, to more people without my consent, and I have decided to separate myself from the situation. My response to that was, I genuinely don't remember making any kind of comments like that, and if I said anything that came across that way, I can't imagine I would even joke like that because I absolutely don't think that way. I'm sorry that whatever I said embarrassed you, and I want you to know I've never held any malice towards you, and I've only ever sung your praises for being an awesome person and a talented creative. The only things I can imagine being misconstrued as claiming any of your success are just how I've mentioned that I was proud of how quickly you blew up on Instagram when I encouraged you to post there and we collaborated. But that was success that we both shared and was because we made really great art together. And it wasn't a lack of romantic attention that bothered me. It was a specific intentional shutting me out or playing mean to me around others, which was the same interaction shift that we had discussed even with the ragtag crew. But that's what I meant about reevaluating what I want in relationships. There have been a number of people that I've had to learn how to draw boundaries with in terms of how they treat me around others, and that is what I was navigating. But when have I doxed your name? I feel like I've literally only ever said your name like twice in my life, and that was only around you and before I knew you just preferred Golden. I'm sorry if I slipped it any other times that I just don't recall, and thank you for clarifying that that is important to you so I can be even more protective of it. I want you to take your space and hope to see you continue to flourish creatively and to build new friendships that serve you at this time. But I do hope someday there can come a point where there's not any icky air between us, because it has become newly apparent to me, and I'm sorry for any misunderstanding or perceived ill will from my end, because I have none. And even if you decide you just don't like me anymore altogether, I'll still have none, because I'm sure you're only doing what you believe is best for your journey. Take care. And those were the very last messages that we ever sent each other. And obviously it's a little bit weird, because if she was already feeling this sense of a breach of consent or anything like that, she probably wouldn't have messaged me. And if she did, she probably would have brought it up then. And not all of this random stuff that she's talking about in these last grievance messages. And then really only just recently, and I went back and looked at the text message conversation that we had, Sarah and I reestablished our boundaries as far as the degree of privacy that we both expected, so that we were able to talk about each other with others more openly. And then obviously on February 9th, that's when we get to Golden making her video accusation. When I first caught wind that something was even going on that day, the first thing I noticed, because I was up early for a flight, so I was able to screenshot it, was that she removed herself from an incriminating video. And then I noticed an influx of that circle of creators removing themselves from my videos too. So I'm like, okay, there's something going on. I suspected that she was going to try to say something about like the last messages that we had. and make some kind of video saying like, don't support the Paladin project, I'm withdrawing, be careful working with him, he's a man whore, he's manipulative, he gaslights, and all the popular buzzwords that people like to misuse. Then when someone told me what she was saying and asked if it was true, I was just in disbelief. My first thought was, okay, is that what she's actually said? Or did she say something vague enough to leave it open-ended for people to fill in the blanks, or what? Because I was just confused. I was blocked, so I had no idea what she said. So when I finally watched the video, I literally just went numb. Before I had even seen the video, there was already just immediately an outpour of hate and death threats and people telling me to kill myself and unfollows and all of that. And I'm still just thinking at that point, what is she even possibly talking about? And fortunately, because of how overwhelming that was, I'm really thankful that I wasn't alone in that. But my first knee-jerk reaction was to make that initial post, which obviously did nothing to diffuse the situation. It's not details, it's just the immediate emotional response. And it was a tiny drop thrown against the tidal wave of hate and backlash. And I deleted it because a few of the people who immediately knew something wasn't right about her claim had reached out and advised that the post wasn't going to be helpful, and this was going to be something that just needed to play out for a little while, which was hard. So to everyone who reached out and supported me, thank you. It really helped me level my head in how I needed to address this properly. So when the dust settled on the initial shock of this accusation, it became more clear that there were more players involved. Immediately, there was this influx of this specific group of creators, and I will show each of them here, but each of these people are a part of the same friend group, the same Cosberry's Discord group. And so they've coordinated this to some degree and probably felt pressure amongst themselves and pressure amongst from the public to speak to this situation, especially having been friends with not only me, but with Golden. Golden definitely became much closer with them than I did. When my travels started, it became really hard to be present in that Discord, so I kind of fell out and she got in. And the whole environment in that Discord is that Golden is baby. I believe that was her Discord name in there for a while. Each of them made their own posts saying like, don't ask for details, don't ask anything, just go along with it, just believe us, we knew him, we know her, all these different things. And then also, of course, the I had no idea how many different videos did they say he's just so charismatic, he's just seemed like such a fun, silly guy. I had no idea, I didn't see the red flags. Obviously, a lot of that is these people protecting their brand, protecting their image, because they were associated with me at one point. And obviously they get something from, looking like they're supporting somebody who is in need. Also support someone they care about, however misled they've been. In regards to the forest shade, I just want to address quickly that she makes it sound like in her video we worked together in person. I have never met her in real life. We worked together virtually, where I consulted a shoot with her and another creator. And so when she says that it was really uncomfortable because his girlfriend was there, she's talking about the other creator and his girlfriend. So I don't know anything about what went down that day. I was not there. I was only able to consult virtually for them to go out and shoot this. I could make a full video on the way that she withheld information to make it look like I was the one coming onto her and all these things, but the reality of the matter is that she sent the first suggestive messages to me and would always do this kind of like back and forth where she would like push in and then be like, I don't know what you're talking about. It was just a blatant withholding of the full context. so that it would paint me to look bad. I think the reason that she felt like she needed to do that was because people were saying like, I need evidence, I need evidence, I need to see like receipts and stuff like that. And so she's like, well, maybe I have some. And so she went in and found them. But if you want to play that game, we can show the full thing. I have it. I saved it. I'll probably make another video on that. Some even went as far as to show their support for violence against me. SA, is it time to give someone the blood eagle? If you're not sure what the blood eagle is, it is a form of ritualistic torture execution. And Tank hearted the comment, and others. In regards to Maisie, it's important to note that she is not a part of the Cosberries Discord group. She is acting of her own motives. Again, she clearly states that she was not SA'd by me, but I will be addressing her in detail separately. And these were all people that were my friends. And even some people like Tank that I really looked up to. So obviously to see this influx of hate hurts a lot. I don't know what brewed within that community. Obviously, it doesn't line up with what she had said in the past and how she's now changing her opinion and perspective about what we were, and how that went. And I think also when she saw that the last messages that we had on January 4th, when she saw that those messages weren't going to be enough to destroy me, she knew that it had to be the worst possible scenario. So I think it's obvious how she went back and refabricated a situation to make it sound like the worst possible thing. Golden obviously knew that she could capitalize on that previous attempt that Sky Sparkle had done, and use that as just free fuel to add to this fire as she went back and, you know, reposted and shared that around to spread it that way too. But even then, those two parties have all of their own conflictions and they're fighting amongst each other as well. But she had to go back and choose a time to make it seem like the worst possible thing, because she knew that that would destroy me, and she was right. Obviously, there has been a massive blowback to this, and a lot of damage has been dealt. Not only just immediately and now, but something that's probably going to echo on into the future for a long time. There's another point that Golden brings up in her accusation video, that she states somebody else was going to be lured into my van, and fortunately somebody was there to stop it. I had no idea what that was talking about. I was going to try to narrow that window down to have anything that I could provide any kind of details or context. But I was going to try to see, okay, like here's when I first got the van, and here is where she's saying months prior something happened. And I had no idea what it was. And I was going to leave that open to be like, hey, if anybody knows what this event was, I would love to shed some light on that and give any amount of details to whatever that's regarding, because I had no idea. This was news to me. And then only just recently, so actually on the 14th of this month, so just 2 days ago from when I'm recording this, I was informed what that rumor was. Apparently somebody at the Convergence house said that I was trying to get somebody overly drunk, and then lure them into my van. The Convergence house was the Airbnb that the Cosberries group had during the Convergence, and other creators would show up and party with us as well. And the Convergence and all that took place in May, before I had even met Golden. It's important to note that in this case, it was a third party spreading a rumor that I was trying to lead someone else into my van. For the full context of that situation, many of us were hanging out in a hot tub, and the only possible questionable thing that they could have come to that conclusion is that I was in one corner of the hot tub. At one point, this victim in question came over to my side and kind of just like laid their head on my shoulder and stuff like that, and everybody was vibing. I didn't think anything of it. I genuinely thought like, oh, I was like we're good buddies. I didn't think anything more than that. I don't know where the other person got that I was like trying to like lure them to my van or anything like that. We were never alone. I never tried to get her alone in any capacity. I'm honestly almost certain that this person doesn't even know that this rumor was spreading around about them. It's also important to note that if this person felt at all uncomfortable with anything that I ever did, why would they agree to go up to that mountain, the canyon that Golden talks about, the secluded area, and film content with me? Not only that, but then throughout that time, invite me to hang out with her and her partner several different times. And then from that, why would her very close friend group over the course of that year become mutuals with me on these different apps? So that stuff just kind of didn't check out to me. Again, I don't know if she even knows that that was a rumor started by somebody else. I'll let them have their anonymity because rumors are just like, what good are they? Obviously, they can cause a lot of damage. If she wants to at least at all speak to me about that or speak about it publicly, I would encourage her to do that. But yeah, that whole situation was completely new news to me. And apparently that was a rumor that was circulating around only just now, I guess, at this time. And I think part of what may have caused Golden to feel like, oh, I have to do something, and thus fabricate this story to destroy me. What I think is happening in regards to those who are coming forward and saying that they were affected by me or that they feel victimized by me. Obviously, nobody has come forward and said that I SA'd them in any way, but I think they did feel hurt. And so what's happening in these situations is these people, while I feel like I was very clear about addressing my boundaries with them initially, and they were fine with that, due to the intensity and passion with which I give myself to these people, I think they felt a sense of exemption from my boundaries that I had set. They thought probably or felt maybe they can speak to this, but they felt that, okay, this is more than just no strings attached. And so I think when those relationships didn't form into what they had hoped and that they weren't an exception to that boundary that I had set, there was hurt involved. And I think I need to take ownership for my inability to reiterate those boundaries and communicate with those people through that. I'm 100% open for any of them to have that conversation with me, or even if you want to put it out on public. But then I think when somebody comes out with an accusation of this degree, of this caliber, what Golden has done, and they feel this even more sense of regret and feel obligated to speak up that, yes, I was hurt by him as well. Obviously, that's not something that I can substantiate. But with talking with others, I feel like that might have some truth to it. But if anybody wants to verify or articulate more on what their experience was, I would love to hear that. I want to make it abundantly clear that I have never and I would never SA anyone. Consent is incredibly important to me, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with this allegation in terms of how it misaligns with their perception of me, and in some cases, even their direct experience with me. And I want you to listen to that voice. With something as serious and sensitive as an accusation of this degree, it's difficult because the baseline should be to support victims and empower others to feel like they can have a voice. because in normal cases they absolutely should. But this case definitely serves to show that there's got to be a better way. I'm not going to pretend to know what that is, but I do know how this has severely impacted my life and my livelihood now and going forward. It's things like this that call for an understanding that hurt people hurt people. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. That is how we get to situations like this on all fronts. Um, I would like to encourage anybody who feels tempted to do what her audience and her group did towards me. I would like to encourage you to have second thoughts about that and not be another hurt person hurting people. There's an abundance of hate in this world and a shortage of love. If given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. And grace and understanding for the messiness of the human experience does not always mean that you escape the consequences of your choices.